Welcome to the LDN radio show, brought to you by the LDN Research Trust. I'm your host, Linda Elsiegood. I have an exciting lineup of guest speakers who are LDN experts in their field. We will be discussing low-dose naltrexone and its many uses in autoimmune diseases, cancers, etc. Thank you for joining us. Belmar Pharmacy specialises in dosage forms for LDN, the most popular being scored oral tablets. They compound LDN in capsules with a variety of fillers, sublingual tablets and topical preparations. Free shipping is available via USPS First Class Mail. They're happy answering your questions on 303 763 5533 or visit belmarpharmacy.com. Today my guest is Samantha Lebsock, who is a pharmacist at Belmar Pharmacy. Thank you for joining us today, Samantha.
Thank you for having me, Linda.
Well, it's really exciting reading that you are the joint person in charge of the clinical trials and research there, but you haven't actually been approached to do any with naltrexone. So fingers crossed that will change in the future. But could you tell us, what your experience has been in Belmar Pharmacy with low-dose naltrexone?
Sure. So I started working at Belmar about 5 years ago, and we have been, really focused on naltrexone. It's one of the main things that we dispense out of the pharmacy. We mail out about 125 naltrexone prescriptions a day. So quite a few prescriptions, I think, and that's at least that many a day. We specialize in tablets for the naltrexone, oral tablets, sublingual tablets. We also do we can make capsules with a bunch of different fillers, whatever the patient prefers. We've really been trying to do, different things with the naltrexone to try to study all its multiple uses lately, and we've been doing some research in chewable tablets, to help with children, taking naltrexone. The tablets are small, but, just another form that we can provide to our patients is always important to us. So we really try to focus on, trying to find something that will work for everybody. We've been trying to do ultra-low dosing because I know that's important to a lot of our doctors who like to use it in combination with opioids. But right now we're having trouble, finding a lab. So we just have so much research that we're trying to do with naltrexone. I have a bunch of different forms we're using, combination of naltrexone with oxytocin and methylcobalamin we're using for weight loss. We're really doing a lot of research trying to just extend all the uses that naltrexone is being used for these days.
Well, it's quite exciting when you explain different forms for children, because naltrexone itself is quite bitter, isn't it?
Yes, that is actually our main issue, Linda. It does not taste good. And we are trying to find like a masking agent, obviously an all-natural agent that can mask that bitter taste, because it does not taste good. So right now, that's our research. We're trying to figure out if we do a chewable tablet, which we have done, how can we make kids want to take this tablet?
Yes, exactly. So what would you say out of all those patients that you're supplying LDN to would be the main condition? Do you get to know what conditions they take it for?
We do. We talk to numerous patients in a day. A lot of it is the autoimmune diseases that we're seeing. My most recent patient is a plumber, and he has RA. And, he's your standard day-to-day person, RA, no other real medical conditions. And his son convinced him to try Naltrexone. And within 4 months, his range of motion in his hands, he'd never had that since he was, younger. His swelling decreased, his movement. And he didn't even know anything about Naltrexone. His son said, you need to get on this. And in 4 months, this man is a believer. He's like, wow, I can't believe how I feel. Because he uses his hands every day. And now no ibuprofen, no acetaminophen. He can function day to day as his job, and he's feeling great.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So
it's really remarkable when you just hear basic stories like that. Not even somebody who has, a real severe disease state. It just isn't. It's miraculous.
Mm-hmm. And as you were saying about using low dose naltrexone, ultra low dose, alongside of opioids, I mean, what has happened in the length of time you've been working with LDN, it has evolved and changed, and there are more pain specialists and rheumatologists that are using ultra low dose with the opioids, and by using a small dose makes the opioids more effective, where they then can reduce the opioids but increase the naltrexone. It's all really, really interesting, isn't it? People that have been on high doses of opioids for 20 years can actually either wean themselves, or with their doctor's help, they don't do it themselves, but get it down to where they can sometimes still just take a minimal amount of opioids, or in some cases they come off they don't take any, they're completely opioid free without having gone through the withdrawal symptoms. I mean, I find that just so amazing.
I agree, Linda. That's where we're really pushing to try to help these patients, because right now I can make a tablet at 0.1 milligrams. And I know at these ultra-low dosings, they're looking for 2 to 4 micrograms. And right now, I can't find a lab in the United States that can test those low of dosage. So I can make a 2 microgram tablet, but I can't guarantee in that tablet that there are 2 micrograms, because I don't have a third-party lab source that can test that potency for me. And so that's where I'm really running into issues, because we have searched every lab across the United States trying to find somebody that can go that low, because we do want to serve these patients. I know Dr. Kim is very involved in this ultra-low dose naltrexone, and we really want to be a part of it. We're just having a hard time, finding a source that can really test our potency. And so that's been my struggle on that side. But I know that there's been recent research done with these ultra-low dosing, and it's amazing. We want to help these patients and get in with these ultra-low dosing, but right now with the 0.1 milligram, they could break it into fourths and get down to 25 micrograms, but I can't quite get down as low as they need, and that's been really frustrating on the pharmacy side.
And as I say, things have changed so much. When I first started LDN over 15 years ago, the protocol in those days was to take 3 milligrams for 1 month and then take 4.5. Now, the fallout rate was quite high for people back then. Not everybody felt they could tolerate it. But I mean, now with hindsight, starting at 3 milligrams was going to be too high for some people. Luckily, it didn't affect me at all. In fact, I thought I was taking like paracetamol or something. It didn't do anything one way or the other. But there are people that are ultra sensitive to all drugs. And we have to remember that LDN is still low dose naltrexone. It is still a drug. And some people, do find difficulty. But I must admit, even not going as low as you were saying for the ultra low dose, but even starting on 0.5 milligrams of LDN, most people find by taking it that low and that slow, working it up very gradually as they feel, that they're able to increase the dose, that people don't have this dropout rate. They don't have the side effects. They just have, the good benefits of LDN. But it's also not a case of thinking you've got to get up to 4.5. If 2 milligrams works really well for you, there is no point in pushing yourself to go further and then say, well, I was really good on 2 milligrams, but as soon as I got up to 4.5, I don't feel as good. Well, that tells you, doesn't it? Go back.
Yeah.
And then there are other people. Sorry, there are other people who want to go on a higher dose than 4.5. I mean, have you come across that?
Yes, we do come across that quite a bit, and obviously we compound to what the providers want. A lot of those providers find that when they push higher doses, and especially when they're working with inflammation, that their inflammation markers are dropping with the higher dosages. So I do have some providers who really push, 9 milligrams, 16 milligrams of naltrexone.
Wow, 16?
Yes,
wow, haven't heard of it
and
that
they
high.
find that, like the C-reactive protein, all of those inflammation markers are dropping. And so they do push higher doses, which is something different. So we have the ultra low dose side and then these higher dosage sides that are coming more popular.
Okay. So we've talked about the low doses. We've talked about the higher doses of the low dose. What would you say is the average dose that, if you had to pick a middle as the most popular, what dose would you say that it would be?
Right now, still the most popular is that 4.5 milligram, but the 3 milligram is so close behind. Just like you said, we counsel patients, if you feel good at 3 and 4.5 you don't, you're fine to stay at 3, and they all still see very good results. And we're like, don't push yourself, stay there, and then they're happy, because a lot of them feel like they have to keep pushing themselves and then they're not sleeping. And we try to really focus on, no, if you're okay there, then you'll still see benefit.
I
do.
Yes. And what about using LDN in pets, in veterinary practices? Have you many vets on board? We
do. We have multiple dogs. We have 3 horses I know of that they've used it for some arthritis, and they've seen really good benefit in the horses, even especially. And they've been refilling it for about 3 years now. So I know it's working, and we've talked to the owners, and so really happy about that, because it does work for a bunch of different people and animals now.
And how is that applied? Do they have the tablets put with their food or something?
The tablets are about the size of an eraser tip, so they're very small. They can be, crushed into food if need be, but they're pretty small tablets that it doesn't really cause any issues.
I was just thinking, of giving it to animals, how you mask it, to get them to take it.
Oh, yes. I find that peanut butter is really good with masking with animals.
Oh, okay. I was talking to somebody, a patient, and she said that her pharmacy, this was for a cat, had made some cream to rub in the cat's ear on the inside.
Yes.
I hadn't heard of that before.
I haven't done that with naltrexone, but we do it with some thyroid medication for cats, and they get really good absorption there behind the ear.
Okay. How would you measure the dosage? That always amazes me. Perhaps you could explain, because children have it for autism, and I just imagine of it being like a pot of face cream, and you put your fingers in rub it. But of course, that isn't measuring it out, is it? You know, one fingerful or two. How do you measure the dose? Is it with a syringe the same as a liquid?
We can do pre-filled syringes, and we can even concentrate the cream where they're only maybe applying 0.1 ml to get their total 3 milligram dose. So we can make it a very small amount of cream. Mm-hmm. Some parents don't like the cream with kids because they're like, I can't get this on my child. And that's where we found, you know, the tablets are so easy. Even if they crush them up, they can kind of try to hide it. And that's why we're really trying to figure out that chewable, because we want them to just be like, oh, here's your medicine, and it tastes great, and they chew it, but we're having trouble there.
Well, that sounds like a winner to me. I can remember talking to some pharmacy somewhere, and they made gummy bears. So I suppose that's similar to what you're talking about, kind of thing. And if you make things fun, children are always happy to try something that's fun, aren't they?
And we do have oral suspensions we can do and creams, but sometimes, you know, we find that, you know, it's easy to take a tablet versus do some of those other things. But we try to offer, you know, a plethora of different sublingual tablets, all sorts of things.
Mm-hmm. And you ship virtually throughout the whole of the US, don't you?
We do. There are 5 states we're not licensed in. We're working on getting all the states, but we're almost there. We have 5 left.
Wow. That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it takes a lot of work because we have to have a pharmacist license in every state that we're licensed in. So it's a lot of testing and studying for all of us here at the pharmacy.
Mm-hmm. And of course, the more states that you provide for, your relationship with prescribers has to grow as well in those states, which is fantastic. It is so easy now compared with 15 years ago to find an LDN prescriber. There are more and more people, I would say, waking up to it, but who are listening, learning, and believing in LDN, which is amazing, isn't it?
It is amazing. And we try, if we have a patient call who's looking for a doctor, we will, you know, we can run a report of the doctors, you know, in that zip code of that patient, and we try to find that patient the closest doctor that we can, that they can go see to get a prescription, because we want it to be accessible to everyone. So we're really working hard to spread some outreach and, you know, send articles to doctors about all the places. And we always send them to, you know, your website, the LDN Research Trust, because it's, you know, has all the research, all the most recent updated research that there has been.
Well, we try hard on that one. And of course, the conferences also help. The doctors like all the PDFs of the presentations. Now, we have found initially, years ago, it was mainly naturopathic doctors with a few of the MDs and DOs, but there are many physician's assistants and nurse prescribers, and they are amazing. They seem to have more time with patients than maybe a very busy doctor does. And in England, we have pharmacy prescribers. Do you have those in the US yet?
If there's a collaborative practice agreement, but not yet like pharmacists with full prescribing rights. I wish. I would love that. But we're not quite there.
Okay. Because we are, our medical system here, doctors are very, very busy. And if you have, you know, a cold or a rash or something that's non-urgent, they try to get you to go and consult with a pharmacist first before going to see the doctor. So the doctors are dealing with more, it sounds awful, the more important issues, the ones that aren't as easily treated. So, we only have a limited amount of resources. So, it's trying to get the patient the best care quickly rather than having to wait days to see a doctor.
Yeah, I would love that. I would love to do more of that, but we're a little behind over here in the U.S. sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe that day will come. So
yeah,
exactly. So all of these conditions that LDN is treating, and the pain conditions, now the thyroid conditions, and people with, say, fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome who may be very ultra sensitive to all drugs and have to start slowly, and the patients that are taking thyroid medication. I mean, what is the advice you give to that group?
Well, I have found almost in every Hashimoto case, they need to, after they've started the naltrexone, they will be able to decrease their thyroid dosage. So we always push strongly that, after you've been on this, you will most likely need to go back and get repeat thyroid labs, because you might not need to be on the current dosage that you're on. After those antibodies have cleared, patients feel so much better, and they don't need as much thyroid anymore. And we always push that.
Yeah. No, there are some doctors who are not very knowledgeable. I've had so many people contact me where their prescriber has started them off on 4.5. I don't know where they get that information from. It's certainly too high as a starting dose. If you find a prescriber who, in your opinion, hasn't quite understood the best way of prescribing, are you able to contact that prescriber and talk to them?
Yes, we have very good relationships with our prescriber. And if I ever see a brand new script come across for the 4.5, the best part about the tablets, I will say, Linda, is that you can break them in half. And so I will just counsel those patients myself and say, hey, look, I really think we need to do a taper here, because not everybody needs 4.5 or can tolerate 4.5. So let's break it in half, or let's break it in fourths, and let's start there. And normally the patients are like, oh, that's a great idea, let's do that. And the prescribers are always so great. They'll be like, oh, that's great. A lot of them will have their own tapering that they like, which is great. But we always try to reach out to those patients that we don't see any type of taper to let them know, here, this is what you should do if this is what you need to do.
Oh, that's really good. Now, I haven't seen your tablets, and you were saying about breaking them in quarters. Are they scored with like a cross on the top so they can easily be snapped, or how does it work?
They're actually only scored in half.
Okay.
So the fourths are a little bit harder to do. I have patients who do the fourths. Usually it's part of their taper, but like I said, they are only scored in half. It would be nice if we could do a fourth, but right now we only have the capabilities to break it in half right now, because they're such small tablets. Like I said, they're about the size of an eraser tip. That's about the diameter.
Well, that is small, isn't it? I shouldn't think even when you break it into 4, it could be that accurate with being so small.
Yeah, it is a little bit harder to do that since the score in half, but we do have some providers who start with breaking it in 4s.
But it's still a lot better than starting on taking a 4.5, isn't it? So.
Yeah, correct. We don't want them to call us the next morning saying, I haven't slept, I'm miserable.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of prescribers now that say that LDN works just as well in the morning if people do have disturbed sleep or vivid dreams.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, have you found that?
Yes, we find that a lot, and we tell patients that ourselves. If you cannot tolerate this at night, start taking it in the morning, and let's start there.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, they'll call us back and they'll be like, wow, my symptoms have improved. I'm sleeping great. I'm going to stay in the morning. And we're like, great, let's do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So would you like to tell people how they can contact you?
Yes, so feel free to call us at Belmar anytime. We're located in Golden, Colorado. My personal email at the pharmacy is sam, S-A-M, at belmarpharmacy.com. We love questions. We love questions about new things we can do. Like I said, we're working on a weight loss with a low dose of naltrexone, like an 8 milligram with oxytocin, 20 units, and some methylcobalamin in there. And we just started that about 3 months ago, and we're getting really good feedback that it's actually suppressing the appetite. Patients are feeling better. So that's one of our new kind of R&D things. We're working on the chewable. So any ideas or any thoughts on another lab that can test lower than 0.1 milligrams, we love to hear from you. So email me at sam@belmarpharmacy.com, and I would love to talk more.
Well, thank you very much for being such an amazing guest today, Sam.
Yeah, well, thank you, Linda. I can't wait to see you in June.
Yes, thank you. Belmar Pharmacy specialises in dosage forms for LDN, the most popular being scored oral tablets. They compound LDN in capsules with a variety of fillers, sublingual tablets and topical preparations. Free shipping is available via USPS First Class Mail. They're happy answering your questions on 303 763 5533 or visit belmarpharmacy.com. Any questions or comments you may have, please email me, Linda, Linda, at ldnrt.org. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you for joining us today. We really appreciated your company. Until next time, stay safe and keep well.